I stay Millie living, I stay living like Millie. I stay Millie living, I stay living like Millie. What? I stay Millie living.
Good boys, listen to the Hock Pacua Podcast.
Welcome back to the Hock Pacua Podcast. This is episode 3, and our special guest here, you may know him as Grummelhouse. You may know him as Ant's Shower Grumper. You may know him as Deuce ran a chain on Buddy. This is Nick Kinckiner. Nick, how's it going?
Going good. Can't complain today. Feeling good. Big win this week. Showed out, so feeling pretty good this week.
Yeah, and kind of just to note there, you had a pretty rough week 1. Everyone knows you had a Will Lentini type week 1 where I don't think you broke 80. That was like an average Will week last year. But this week you scored the most in the league. I think you outscored me by like a point something, but you scored the most in the league. Many would see that as a statement win, coming off the worst to the best. And looking at your team, I mean, how do you feel about it? How do you feel right now?
I mean, week 1 wasn't what I expected, if I'm being fully honest. I mean, really nothing went right. I mean, could just go straight down the line. The only guy who I think had over 10 was Bowers or Achan. I mean, aside from that, just was not the ideal week across the board. Everyone dropped less than 10 points. But going off of that week 2, I mean, solid week. Not loving a few things right now. I mean, I'm hoping for a few breakouts and everything, but feeling pretty good for the most part. For the most part around the deck, I'm feeling pretty good.
And that first week, it seemed like almost everything went wrong there. Oh, you're making beats? You're making beats?
No, it clicked on like a video on ESPN there, so I'm trying to click off. Okay, we got it now.
You're making beats right now. No, but Joe Burrow, dude. Like, that injury, not something you were hoping for, not something you expected. You picked up, I was looking at the recent activity. You picked up Drake May, picked up Daniel Jones, dropped Drake May, picked up Jordan Love. Now it looks like Daniel Jones is in your starting spot. I mean, what's the thought process like? What are your plans at quarterback?
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm being honest, I mean, it seems pretty fitting that Daniel Jones would end up as my quarterback after years of saying he would be the Giants guy. Now he's on my team. I mean, really, I added Drake May and Daniel Jones originally, but I can't say that was really the plan. I wanted Jordan Love and Daniel Jones, but I didn't see myself getting Jones at the waiver claim 9, so I figured Drake May will be my start this week and then Jordan Love for the future, but I was not a fan of Drake May for going forward. Just like Jordan Love is my guy, but I'll ride with Daniel Jones this week because I believe Jordan Love has a tough matchup against Cleveland because they have a pretty stout defense for the most part.
I mean, we saw Sam Darnold on the Jets and then him blossom on the Vikings. Same thing kind of looks to be happening with Daniel Jones. Do you think it's that New York curse, or what do you think it is there? Because riding the Daniel Jones wave, that seems like the move here.
I mean, I always thought Daniel Jones was going to be the guy in New York, but like I said, I mean, poor O-line play. You could mix that in with a lack of receiving weapons up until last year when he had Neighbors, but I mean, he got benched pretty early on. Andrew Thomas was out as per usual. I mean, there just wasn't much stability there his entire tenure. I mean, it could be a combination of things, and I'm not saying that he's going to do this going forward the rest of the year, but he's in a much better situation now with arguably a top 5 O-line, and they have a decent receiving corps for the most part, pairing that with a top 5 arguably running back in Jonathan Taylor. He very well could be a top 10 quarterback rest of year. Not necessarily, but I mean definitely could be a top 10 guy rest of year. So honestly, I mean, I got 7 points from Joe Burrow the first 2 weeks. Anything's going to beat that. Not that I was expecting Joe Burrow to put up 7 points every week for the entire year, but I've had 0 QB production thus far, so I mean, we'll see what happens going forward, but anything's going to beat that as of right now.
That's cool, and if you have like Amon-Ra like putting up a week like this, with those crazy Lions, like brutal crushings on an opponent, I feel like they're the only team that does that. They'll be winning by 40 and like their starters are still out there scoring touchdowns. So I feel like that's a plus there. And when you have that kind of those weeks, all you need is a quarterback to like be serviceable, kind of like you're saying, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Amon-Ra slipped big time on the draft boards, and I'm not too sure why. Everyone always went, he's just a high floor guy. His ceiling's not that high. But I mean, this week proved yet again, I mean, he's a guy who can put up 40 points in a week for you at any given point. They do have a lot of mouths to feed, but I mean, for the most part, he's never going to put up less than like 12 points in a week, and he always has that potential. You never know with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. Now you play Aiden this week, who he's had some early season struggles. He's 0-2. I didn't expect that. A lot of people didn't expect that looking at his roster going into it, but most notably with his top pick, Ashton Gianti, and that's kind of been a theme with rookies across the league. That's been like discourse in fantasy, like whatever accounts people will follow, they'll be like, what do I do with these rookies? But like as we see, like it's rare for like rookies, especially running backs, to like make an impact like in the first 2 weeks. Like if history repeats itself, like a lot of them should be fine, but kind of you're one of them Omarion Hampton, RJ Harvey haters in our fantasy league. So what are what is your outlook on the rookies and kind of that whole thing?
I mean, so really it depends for the most part. Starting out with Genti, I mean, he's in a completely different situation than the other ones because he was drafted the earliest. I mean, that's going to be the first and foremost thing that we can talk about. And yes, it's been a rough go so far, but the volume is going to be there. I mean, it's going to come down to really, will the Raiders dog shit O-line? Will they start to block, or is it not going to happen? And is he a guy who they're really going to only rely on, that he has a big breakout run in a game, or whatever the case is? Because that will come with volume, along with that, the catches. So, I mean, I think he's in a different category from the start. His draft position, his ADP, although, yeah, it could be argued right now that he was drafted a little bit earlier than he should have been. He's a guy that where I wouldn't panic yet if I was Aiden. I definitely would not be in panic mode. Now, as for the rest of the rookies, I mean, you have Henderson, you have RJ Harvey, you have Omarion Hampton. They're all pretty much in the same situation where not only did they get drafted somewhat early to their teams, but the big problem is you have the Chargers where they brought in Najee Harris. And while nobody likes Najee Harris, he's not going anywhere. He was brought in for over $5 million, I think, on the contract. Along with that, you have J.K. Dobbins in the Denver backfield, $5 million. And then you have Ramondre Stevenson, who's not going anywhere in New England. So you have all these guys who were drafted in rounds 3 to 5 in our leagues. And, I mean, they have to compete for touches. Nobody likes a committee in fantasy football. I mean, there's very few committees that have been successful anywhere. I mean, Detroit in recent memory, you have the Saints going back, what was that, 5-6 years ago with Ingram and Kamara. I mean, they were overdrafted. I'm not saying it's not going to play out that they all don't overtake the backfield. But if you're going to draft a rookie running back, you better have a contingency plan for right now, which we can see quite a few teams right now. They didn't have that, and they're struggling at their RB2 spots big time right now because they stacked up on these rookies way too early.
For sure, and yeah, that's the issue with taking them early, because if they don't have the early season impact and it's like a running back, and you don't have like a guy behind that guy to plug in the beginning of the year, that could be a problem. And I don't know about you, but I haven't been getting too many trade offers. There have been some things, but I know you and I both historically make quite a few trades during the season with each other and also with other league mates. But has there been any negotiations in the works so far?
So, I'm not gonna lie, I've been trying to get a trade going nonstop. I mean, over the past 2 weeks, especially after that crushing week 1, I've been wanting to get something going. Nobody's biting. Everyone wants to hold tight on their players. That being said, I've seen a lot of stupidity with these trade offers. First and foremost, not to name names, I will say I offered someone yesterday for their waiver claim so that I could get Daniel Jones, and they were higher up. I offered them Josh Downs. That same person told me no, they wanted to add DeAndre Hopkins. Now, they got DeAndre Hopkins today, but I mean, if you look at the usage numbers, he's out on 30% of snaps. So, I said I wasn't going to name names, but Josh Downs would be a much better option to own than DeAndre Hopkins at this point in time. Going off of that, I would love to have my handcuff Ollie Gordon. That being said, I wouldn't give up more than a Josh Downs. Along with that, he belongs on waivers. There's no reason for him to be owned. And yet you have teams like Kevin, too, where he's owning a guy like Jaden Blue and still predicting his breakout. Ollie Gordon's been owned. Braylon Allen's been owned for weeks. These guys, where they serve no purpose unless there's an injury, I don't understand why they're rostered on these teams. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and just to clarify a little bit, I know last year you kind of made it into like a little joke, but you got a couple managers angry when you were handcuff watching and keeping everyone's handcuff, and that was it's pretty funny. You ended up working out because you ended up with Bucky Irving early. You ended up with I'm trying to think who else. I know you had Braylon Allen for a while.
Oh, I had Braylon Allen for a while, but my whole goal with him was to trade for Breece Hall. I just don't see the point, unless you own these handcuffs, to trade them to their owner for whatever scraps you can get, which last year nobody would even give scraps. This year you offer scraps to them for that. They're not taking it. They want big-name players for a handcuff, which makes absolutely no sense. I don't see why someone would roster that position, but yeah, I mean, that's the whole problem in and of itself. It worked out last year, and I mean, it could still work out this year. I mean, I have a chance. He could go down, and Ollie Gordon could be good. That being said, he hasn't been down yet, so I just don't see the point of rostering him right now. Along with that, I don't see the point of rostering Jaden Blue still. I don't think he's overtaking that backfield with the emergence of Javonte.
Yeah, I don't. Seeing like Miles Sanders even take touchdowns from Javonte, I'm like, I don't know where Jaden Blue would fit in, especially being a rookie. But
never gonna happen.
But going back to your matchup against Aiden this week, how do you feel about it? Who do you have winning? I know it's tough to be unbiased, but I've actually chose Aiden to beat me week 1 and Alex last week, and I'm 2-0. So
I mean,
there's no rhyme or reason here.
Yeah, so I mean, on paper right now, obviously, first and foremost, I'm going to be biased towards myself. That's just how that's going to go. So I'm going to project myself to win, I'll say. But then at the same time, I'm not going to lie in the back of my head. I do think Aiden has a good team on paper. I wouldn't be surprised if I lose because something's got to give at some point. I mean, he's coming off 2 fairly rough weeks, 2 weeks in a row, I think. I mean, he could be poised for a big week. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But the big problems I have with his lineup, I mean, first and foremost, he has he has Jamal Williams in his lineup, and I have Amon Ross, so I got to think that although that's his flex, he's going to outscore him, and then going off of that, I mean, there's a few tough matchups. I mean, Worthy, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? And then if he's not playing, then who's the flex option? Is it T. Higgins without a quarterback? I mean, Aaron Jones just went down, so that part of the lineup's weak. Aside from that, he should outscore me at quarterback, running back, so it should be close. But, I mean, I'm confident. We'll see how it goes. Something's got to give at some point, but we'll take it from there, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Alex noted it there today, but Quentin Johnston, he's known as like brick stone hands. Like he couldn't catch anything last year. And now he's wide receiver 25, but like coming off week 1, 25 points. 16 points week 2. I mean, if I'm Aiden, like he's going in my flex or my wide receiver spot over Worthy or Jameson Williams. I
would definitely be leaning Quentin Johnston if I was 8-2 right now. He's had 2 big weeks in a row. I mean, the only other guy who was really a great draft pick right now, Keenan Allen, looks like he's back to his form from 2-3 years ago. He's got the most targets, I believe, in that entire offense through the first 2 weeks. So, I mean, if Keenan Allen keeps producing like that, Will might have had the steal of the draft this year. He's up there, and Javonte are the 2 guys really in contention right now for that.
Yeah. And I saw that you put Kenneth Walker likely to trade, and you've been trying to – I know you texted in our group chat, anyone interested in Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, and I think me and some other members of the league were kind of making fun of that tandem, saying, just to have to choose who to start each week. But obviously now it seems like K9 is back to that lead role. But what are your thoughts there? Are you looking to dish him out or wait for his value to go up?
I mean, after a week like last week, he had 20 points. I mean, he had the majority of the carries. He looks like the lead back. Charbonnet is not going anywhere, but I believe his value is where I drafted him at. Once again, I mean, pretty much everyone on my team is expendable. I would love to get trades going just like I do year after year. It seems like every week I start trading after like week 4. Nobody's bit yet, but I mean, pretty much everyone's expendable. Everyone but Daniel Jones, of course. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to take you here as well, not because you're the guest, but because as it stands, I mean, Aiden's team has just been struggling, and I don't see it changing in the near future. Obviously, if Xavier Worthy's good to go, that helps him a lot. If he puts Quentin Johnson in his lineup, that helps him a lot. But I think Daniel Jones is going to keep it going. Achan's going to keep it going. Buffalo has like so many guys out on their defense. I could be wrong, but I think it was like Ed Oliver, someone else. So I think tomorrow night or tonight, since this podcast might be coming out Thursday, the Buffalo-Miami game will be one to watch, hopefully. I mean, Miami's been terrible, but hopefully that's a good game. But
yeah, I mean, hopefully it's going
to be a close
hopefully
match.
you just wake up Thursday morning, or Friday morning, I should say, with points on the board. I mean, nobody likes waking up after a Thursday night game and already out of their matchup come Sunday, so that's really the goal.
Yeah. So moving on to Hock Pacua Podcast against Mr. Jackson's Neighborhood. That's Ant against Chris for Pistol Pedias fans who don't know. Who do you have here, and what are your thoughts on this one?
So here's my opinion. I mean, I'm going to start out with, all jokes aside, I really do like Ant's team. I think he has a good team this year. I think ETN's back to form. McConkey's really the only guy on when you look at it on paper right now who's not lived up to expectations. But although Sutton had a bad week last week, he could always plug him in there if McConkey's not playing. I do think Sutton's going to bounce back. I mean, it was just one bad week. Things happen on it here and there. That being said, he's supposed to lose this week. And I don't love Chris's team on paper, but Chris seems to always find a way to pull it out, so I probably do have Chris taking this one. I mean, that's pretty much my most simple analysis. There's a lot of guys in his lineup right now. I'm not a fan, but I'm sure by the end of the year, everyone's going to be a fan of those guys because they're on Chris's team.
Yeah. Great points with Chris's team. Obviously, we saw the first time this week having Lamar and Derrick Henry bit him a little bit, where Lamar had a great game, as he did week 1, but Derrick Henry had that signature. What did he drop? He dropped like
I think 3 points, something like that. Yeah,
and that's like the PPR aspect of him, where he's mainly just running the ball. And if he doesn't get touchdowns or like they don't need to use him as much, he won't have those weeks. His receivers are crazy. Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Ted McMillan, they've all been great. But
I mean, I'd argue Ted McMillan's not been great, but that's just my opinion.
He's been good for his he's like a decent flex, I think, so far.
He's a decent flex so far, but I mean that Carolina Panthers offense, I don't like Bryce Young. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of Ted, to be honest. I'm just not. Him and Garrett Wilson too. I mean, it depends. If Tyrod's out there next week, I really like Garrett Wilson. With Justin Fields, you're never going to know what's going to happen that week. Is Justin Fields going to throw for 200 yards in a game, and is Garrett Wilson going to get 80 of those yards? Or are we going to see him throw for 120 yards and Garrett Wilson's having a 30-yard game? Because that's happened more than enough times that we've seen throughout Justin Fields' career. For
sure, yeah. But I think even though like this may seem one-sided, Chris may seem like he's on his way back to the playoffs, even so early in the season, I'm going to take Ant here. I'm taking Hock Pacua Podcast, and I don't know, people might not like the Puka matchup against the Eagles or Hawkinson with who knows who at quarterback, but ETN's back. Gibbs against Baltimore, that might be a good game. Like, I'm going to take Ant here. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, I think, but I think he hands Chris his first loss of the season.
Yeah, that would be crazy to say, but I mean, I could see it happening. I do think he has a good team on paper, so we'll see what happens, but I definitely could see that.
Yeah. Now going to Kevin Judge versus Will. We had Kevin on the pod last week for episode 2. Kevin's 2-0. Will's 1-1. Our division up there, the Alec division, is pretty tight. It's another divisional game. Who do you have here?
I'm going to confidently say that Will has a huge bounce back week, first of all. I think Will, it's not going to get much worse than last week for his team. I mean, pretty much across the board, just did not perform to expectations. Going off of that, Joe Burrow went down in the first quarter. Albeit, Jamar Chase still had a monster game last week. Kevin has a lot of Bengals stock between Jamar Chase and Chase Brown. I don't think he should be expecting that kind of production from the players on a week-to-week with a backup quarterback. It's going to be a much bigger blow than he realizes, and I have Will easily taken this one.
That's an interesting one. And, Will's team is just so much better than it was last year. He has, he's a safer team. Like, Baker's a safe guy to have. He's been really good for him. Even if Saquon isn't Saquon last year, he's still going to produce running back one numbers no matter what. Kyron's all right. He's been on a downward slope since he broke out 2 years ago. And then his wide receivers, it's just going to be tough on, who do I start? Because, I see Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Zay Flowers as, those guys that they might have those, 4-point weeks often as,
they're definitely huge. They're huge boom or bust guys. Sorry to cut you off. But I'm just, looking at the matchups as you're saying this right now. London's playing Carolina this week.
Exactly.
Harrison's playing a banged-up San Francisco defense. And then Zay Flowers is probably playing Detroit, which will probably be a shootout. So I'd expect big numbers from all three of them if I was Will this week.
Definitely, and that's what you would expect. And that's why I'm going with Will as well. There's just so many unknowns with the Bengals. Browning looked decent, but is he really the guy moving forward? Chase Brown hits the most. He's hit the most from that, I think, just because I don't know how efficient or how smoothly run the offense will be where everyone will be able to participate how they did with Burrow, where T. Higgins is the first wide receiver 2 off the board in drafts. I'm not even a big wide receiver 2 guy to have the T. Higgins. I know I have Jalen Waddle.
I have Devonta Smith. It's not ideal. Nobody ever loves having that.
No, and they go high, and I always fall for the trap, and I feel I always forget this isn't the greatest idea, but sometimes it works. I don't know. How do you feel with it? I know you. I think I traded. I think you had Devonta Smith at some point.
I had him for a bit last year, and I do not like owning him. I hate owning him every year, but where he fell at the draft, I felt like I just had to take him just as a piece in a trade later on, albeit I didn't think Philly would be running as much as they are, but you'd have to expect A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, better days will be ahead. We'll see, but he might just be a total crapshoot. We'll see what happens, but I don't like owning wide receiver 2s, whether it's T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, whoever it is that commands value, Waddle. I thought it was going to be Rome Odunze in Chicago. Now it might be DJ Moore. But once we find out what the true depth chart's going to be come week 6 to 8, I'm not going to like one of those guys. I don't like owning wide receiver 2s.
No, I agree totally. And, my whole thing with having Waddle was because of Tyreek. I hope Tyreek goes to the Chiefs or something, goes somewhere where he could be, really good. But since we're on the topic of this matchup here and Kevin, a lot of times I can't tell, and I feel like a lot of people can't tell if Kevin's being a troll when he's talking in the group chat, or if he's seriously hyping up Jaden Blue every day, or Tucker Kraft as the best pick in the draft. I know he's been good, or Bill Jericho Krosky Merritt. What are your thoughts on Kevin's?
Is Kevin a troll? It's tough to say. Is Kevin a troll? Let's first start with that. Let's break this down right now.
I thought you said he's out of control.
No, is he a troll? Well, here's my thing. He is out of control. He's out of control, and Chris is out of control because I can count on one hand the amount of trades they made over the last 3 to 4 years. They hold on to their guys for dear life. They do not make trades. It's as simple as that. They think their guy's going to break out through the whole year, and then luckily for Chris, he's won the last 2 years in a row? I think it's 2, right?
2 in a row.
Yeah, last 2 years in a row with barely making a trade. Kevin, on the other hand of this, he's made the playoffs some years he's just missed it. But if he made some more moves, I am very confident. I think he probably would have had that final push. If you hold on to your guys too long and just wait for these breakouts that imminently don't happen, whether it's a Jaden Blue or, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I think now he will break out. But holding on to these guys for too long does nothing for you, and it is out of control. That wasn't the question at first, but now I'll say it's out of control with the two of them. The
No,
two
because
of them
that's
especially.
what I thought you said, which was just a great soundbite either way. Is he a troll or is he out of control? But yeah,
He's
I mean,
both.
I totally get what you're saying, and Aiden said it today. Like nothing bad ever happens to Chris. I know the first half of this league's existence, Chris had brutal injuries and brutal luck, and in the past 2 years, like nothing bad has happened to his teams. Like it's crazy.
Oh, it's been going. I think even 3 years ago. I think he made it to like the championship or whatever, or right before there too. It's been going on a long time now. He's just been very lucky with health.
Yeah.
That and the late round picks. Just I mean, Chuba Hubbard last year. Nobody saw that one coming.
Yeah, and he would quietly hype him up. He changed his team name to him, and he did all this stuff. And I was one of those guys who were like, this guy's not going to be him. And then he became a top guy to have, and it helped.
Yeah,
him out to win.
Even in the playoffs last year, when I played Chris in the playoffs, I still thought it was comical that I was facing a team with Chuba Hubbard in its lineup. And then it comes week one draft time. I mean, he's on my draft board. I was maybe going to take him if he fell to me in the round where I believe you're the one who has him. If he fell to me around there, then I definitely would have taken him. But, I mean, last year I was laughing that he was even in someone's starting lineup. So it just goes to show how a year can change the perspective of it.
It is crazy. And yeah, I love looking at those guys coming off, like, their breakout year because I feel like a lot of times they still go a little too late than what they should. It's not always true, but I feel like that does happen a lot. But yeah, going to the other Kevin Hall is taking on Alex, and Alex, that's like your favorite team in the league, right? I mean,
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be fully honest, and I'm not saying this to meme on him or anything, but there's a lot of problems with that team right now when you look at it. A lot of problems, and I do think Omari and Hampton will eventually be good. I have a lot of stock in them throughout pretty much all the leagues I'm in, except this one. I have Omari and Hampton. That being said, he's completely out of my starting lineup, and I'm not saying it to joke because I have J.K. Dobbins in this league, but I rostered Dobbins in most of my leagues. He's a starting running back right now. Omari and Hampton has not proven he's getting the workload. So until we see that, that's the first problem. Going off of that, I mean, Harold Fannon's in the starting lineup. What are we doing? Just what are we doing? I know he thinks he's breaking out, but you got Juwan Johnson. He could have had Juwan Johnson that day. That was the breakout guy. He's getting the majority of the New Orleans targets aside from Olave. They're both getting double-digit targets through the first 2 weeks. Why would you add the backup tight end for the Browns? He's still getting targets right now, but he's still the backup. Njoku has not gone anywhere. So just all I have to say about that, what are we doing? And then I'd be starting to worry if I had Brian Thomas Jr. as my second-round pick right now. In any league, I'd be worried because he got hit in the preseason. He looks like he's scared to catch the ball right now. That's really the problem. After that hit, he looks like he's scared to catch it. That, and he had no chemistry with Trevor Lawrence last year for the most part, so I'd be very worried about him too. Nico's going to be fine. He had a decent week last week. Week one was tough, but Nico will be fine. I wouldn't be worried about him. JSN looks like a stud, but I mean, 3 guys in the lineup right now where I could just say very confidently, I'd be very concerned right now, given their draft position with Hampton and Brian Thomas, and then it's Harold Fannin. I'm not saying any more about that.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised when he picked him up because, I mean, just like this week, it was another week where I wanted to save my waiver claim. There weren't like too many guys that I was gonna use it on or felt that it was worth it. Obviously, I wanted Justin Fields week 1, but that ended up working out for me, not working out for you. But yeah, Fannin, I was like, I have Njoku. I wasn't gonna go out and get like this other guy that's in Njoku's way. The whole time I was looking at Juwan Johnson. I mean, and he kind of proved it this week that basically what you said, he's like making highlight plays as like a big, like blocking looking tight end. And it's and I follow his wife on Instagram, and she always gets hate for her attitude and stuff. So I like seeing his life be documented. My new TE1, but
he's your new Njoku, dude. He's your new Njoku. That was the guy to add. I mean, I have a lot of Kittle stock in a lot of leagues, and right when Kittle went down, I mean, I put in waiver claims. I didn't even do like you guys waited for free agency to pass because you didn't want to wait for that. I wanted Juwan Johnson. I mean, pretty much any league where you have Kittle, I felt like Juwan Johnson was the best replacement. Now, I mean, whoever has Kittle in our league, you ended up with Juwan Johnson. I don't even know who. You had Njoku, yeah, before that. But Juwan Johnson was the guy to add. At least that's how it seems like right now. And I don't understand. I can't comprehend the rushing to add Harold Fannin. I haven't talked on this enough in the group chat, but Harold Fannin it makes no sense to me right now. At least he's the second tight end on the depth chart. We're not even talking about, I just said I don't like wide receiver twos on a team. We're talking about a tight end two right now. It makes no sense.
I'm texting the group chat right now. I'm gonna get it going. I'm gonna say, yo, Alex, what is up with the Harold Fannin pickup? All right, we got it going. So we'll know how that goes by the time this episode comes out. But yeah, I feel you. I mean, if you had Kittle, I mean, you had to scramble as well. I had Njoku, and he's a tight end who's losing his work. Like, I'm not even gonna entertain having Njoku in my starting lineup again until he proves he's tight end one. And if he keeps splitting up work, I may drop Njoku at some point. Why am I gonna waste a spot on my team? If
on a tight end who's in a committee tight end. I've never really seen a committee tight end before. I mean, we saw last year, I mean, Isaiah Likely looked like he was going to break out in Baltimore. And then what do you know, halfway down the stretch, it was Mark Andrews. It was his entire target share yet again. Mark Andrews wasn't great, but Likely barely saw the field after the halfway point last year. So it doesn't make sense. And even going off of that, look at Will's team. Kittle went down, but he added Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz is very reliable year after year. Adding a guy like Harold Fannin makes no sense because at tight end, there's plenty of good options. Why would you take the risk of a guy who could really have like no points on any given week, depending on his snap count?
Especially, and I'm not one to speak because I own like the entire Cleveland Browns receiving core. I have Njoku, I have Jerry Jeudy, I have Cedric Tillman. I thought things would be like how they were at the end of last season with Flacco, where they're just like throwing the ball all over. Jeudy went off at the end of last season. I don't know if people forgot but I mean,
I thought that was a product of Jameis Winston, if I'm being honest. So once I saw him depart, I wanted no Cleveland Browns stock whatsoever.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, Njoku's Njoku. I mean, he could turn it around still because he does have a good rapport with Flacco. But aside from that, I don't want to touch it because Jameis Winston, I mean, we've seen it time after time how he plays football. And he'll pass for 400 yards sometimes, but he'll have 4 interceptions. And, I mean, you just never know what you're going to get that day.
Yeah. But who do you have in this matchup? Who do you have in Kevin versus Alex?
Oh, with confidence. I mean, with full confidence, I have Kevin in this one. A.J. Brown, they're playing the Rams. I mean, you'd have to hope at some point they're going to have to start throwing the ball. And, I mean, the Rams have a high-scoring offense, so I'm expecting hopefully an A.J. Brown bounce-back week for him. I mean, it's got to happen at some point. And then Mike Evans is going to be consistent. He'll get you what you need. McCaffrey's McCaffrey. I mean, Kevin's team, although it has not really performed thus far to his expectations, I do think all around it's a solid team all around on paper. I don't really see any weaknesses with this team.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I have Kevin beating Alex this week for those reasons that you brought up. I don't love Bo Nix going forward. I was never a Bo lever. But CMC, James Cook, those guys they've been dominant. Mike Evans should get it going more. Igbuka has taken some of his work. Debo's been great. Sam Laporta's all right. And A.J. Brown, if he has another bad week, I mean, I could totally see him being on one of our teams in a little buy low trade.
Without a doubt. I mean, if I'm him, I'll be honest, and I mean, he's probably going to want to trade A.J. Brown if there's one more down week. I do think A.J. Brown will turn it around. However, what I'll say if I'm him, I'm not trading A.J. Brown yet if he has another down week. If he has a huge week, I'm capitalizing on whatever value I can get right after this week, and I'll take the highest bidder. That's, I mean, pretty much where I'd stand if I was him. A.J. Brown has a good week, because that's really my expectation with Devonta Smith if he has a few good weeks in a row. I want to get him the fuck off my team.
Yeah. No, totally agreed. And then with Alex's team, I mean, I kind of went in deep to his team last week, talking about, like, his receivers are like ideal guys to have at the start of the season, like post-draft. Like having Nico Collins, JSN, BTJ, even with like Jacoby Myers, Ridley on his bench, like those are like a lot of guys who broke out last year or were rookies last year, and like it just hasn't been clicking. And I feel like when you have like Omarion Hampton as like your now RB2, supposed to be RB1, I mean he really just has Javonte Williams like saving him in that category. I feel like. But
And who the fuck saw that coming?
I know.
Who saw that coming? Nobody.
You actually, until this year, you were always a Javonte believer.
First year not owning him, he decides to do this, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens if this really subsists or not.
Yeah, but yeah, Nico should go back to being Nico. I was scared watching the Monday night game. I think it was like one of the first drives of the game. Nico had like a nice toe tap touchdown from Stroud, and I was like, I'm gonna lose, and like because I think Alex just had Nico and Omarion Hampton, and I was like, this is it. Nico's gonna score 30. I'm gonna lose, but Stroud looked horrible the whole rest of the game. Trevor Lawrence has looked horrible. Jay's Hen's been good. I don't think he's gotten in the end zone. Yeah,
no, Jay's.
Yeah,
he's not been in the end zone, but I mean, just the target share alone of JSN, I would love that volume if I was him. It doesn't make sense. I mean, Stroud's looked terrible, and I mean, 3 receptions on 9 targets this week from Nico, and then week 1, 3 receptions on 5 targets. I mean, he had the touchdown this week, but if he didn't have a touchdown, and you can't really expect touchdowns from any player, aside from, I guess, like Derrick Henry, our running back, who you know is like a goal line back. For a receiver, you can't expect that. If he didn't have that, he would have had another 8-point week, and it would have been bad again.
Yeah, because it wasn't even like him. Like Stroud was missing him on so many targets. So it was just weird to see when like a year ago or 2 years ago, Stroud, like I feel like a lot of people thought he was like the next face of the league. So, well, Alex will monitor that going forward. But
I'd be worried if I was him. His receivers, all 3 of them, have to show out without those running backs performing. And until we see Omarion Hampton take over the backfield, he needs them to show out, like you said. It's not happened yet.
Line. Yeah,
that's
the bottom line. They have to show out just to make up for his running backs. I mean, if Javonte wasn't there, I think he'd be screwed every week.
And it's not like Harold Fannon's making this up either. I mean, you got to look back too. Harold Fannon's in the lineup. The other problem, I mean, you look at my team. Like I said, if I analyze my team across the board, there's a few guys where I'm not super happy, but also I got Brock Bowers to make up the production at that tight end position. If you're going to be weaker at spots, you better have a damn good tight end or a really good quarterback, a Josh Allen type or whatever the case may be. But you got to make up the points somewhere, and right now I don't see anywhere where he's going to make up those points.
It's true. Yeah. It's definitely something to monitor. And speaking of Josh Allen, our last matchup of the week involves Josh Allen playing for your brother, Robert Kinckiner, against me. So, what are your thoughts on this one? And be brutally honest. I don't really know. It's hard to analyze your own team going into it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll be fully honest. I mean, you're coming off a huge week like myself. I believe you had like 140 or whatever it was last week too. So we'll start with that. The same reason why I'm thinking with myself too. I don't know. It's tough to repeat 2 huge weeks in a row. So you'd have to expect there might be a slight downtick, whatever the case may be. But that's usually expected. Going off of that, I'm just going to start to analyze your team across the board. Bijan's Bijan. We know he's going to have a big week. Jacobs is pretty much always due for at least 15 points, roughly around there, give or take. So they both look great. And Tyreek Hill, you'd have to expect Miami's going to have to pass the ball in a game against Buffalo. They're going to have to score points if they want to win. So I like Tyreek this week. Same goes for Devontae. I mean, I'm looking at that like it probably will be a shootout. I've already expressed Juwan Johnson. I think that was a great pickup. So across the board, your team looks very solid. Jordan Mason, I mean, we'll see how he's going to do carrying the whole workload. What did he do last week? Did Aaron Jones go out mid-game? I don't even know.
I think he played most of the game, Aaron Jones. So like it's hard to see so far, but Aaron Jones has kind of it's been like 1A, 1B, but Jones has gotten a lot more of the work, and Mason's been like pretty decent so far. But I mean, with no quarterback, like my reasoning for starting Jordan Mason this week over Chuba Hubbard, who's been solid and been my flex, is I don't like Chuba against Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta was their defense was pretty dominant against Minnesota last week, but I mean, Jordan Mason's like him and the wide receivers in Minnesota are the only like guys on offense who like are going to do anything. Like without JJ McCarthy, like JJ McCarthy was horrible, but like I don't know who their quarterback is now.
It's Carson Wentz right now. So I mean,
like
we'll see what happens. We'll see if maybe Minnesota is the ideal situation for a quarterback. Sam Darnold proved it last year. Kirk Cousins thrived there. Case Keenum thrived there. The list goes on and on. JJ McCarthy is the first guy who we've seen so far. I mean, it's been a very small sample size, but he's not thrived there. Josh Dobbs thrived there for a short period. Nick Mullins was pretty good there. I'm pretty sure he was on there for a bit. But the list of quarterbacks who have played for them throughout the years, it's been an extensive list, and they've all performed. So maybe Carson Wentz maybe he'll look like he's back to form again for at least a brief period. I'm not saying I expect him to do that for a long period, but maybe he'll have a 2 to 3 game stretch where he looks pretty good. That's a far-fetched thing, but also we don't know because we've seen a ton of guys who we've not expected. Nobody expected Josh Dobbs to be I remember there was a Madden card that called him the Pastronaut or whatever it was when he was going off, and it made no sense. I mean, it's Josh Dobbs. He never did that before. It was a journeyman. I mean, nobody expected Case Keenum to have that year he had when he led them to the playoffs. So, I mean, we'll see. All the same coaches, everyone's the same in there. So it's a consistent organization. Maybe Carson Wentz will have his big weeks and look like the guy he looked like in 2018 or whatever it was. We don't know. I don't know what to make of this game because even Cincinnati's quarterback looked great last week aside from the one turnover he threw. Maybe he's going to look great again. Maybe it's going to be a 2 to 3 week stretch, maybe longer. I don't know. I mean, but still, like I said about Kevin's team, I would be worried because he's not Joe Burrow. But with Minnesota, I feel it's very different because there's no more Sam Darnold there. J.J. McCarthy's not looked good. So maybe Carson Wentz will be better than J.J. McCarthy, at least right now, because we've not seen anything good from J.J. McCarthy aside from a fourth quarter comeback. And, I mean, that's it. So it's been a small sample size, but maybe this gets better for fantasy managers from that perspective. We don't know yet.
It's been tough. It's been tough. But I mean, looking on the other side, I mean, Josh Allen is such an advantage to have. But I think the issue with Josh Allen this week, which is I'm hoping for, is that they absolutely demolish Miami. I mean, Miami's been horrible. They got killed by the Colts, who've been good. And then I forgot who they played this week. But when the Bills beat the Jets on Sunday, I mean, the Jets looked so embarrassing that, like, Josh Allen didn't play, I think, like, for most of the fourth quarter. And he had, like, a down week just because the Jets were so bad against the Bills. And that's kind of the sole reason why, not the sole reason, but one of the big reasons I actually feel confident going into this week, just because if all goes to plan in my head and the Bills absolutely demolish Miami, like, I don't think they'll need Josh Allen to show off a little bit or, like, risk getting injured. Jonathan Taylor's been great, but Travion Henderson is one of those rookies that we were talking about before where, I mean, it doesn't only take long for the rookies to break out, but, like, New England's been a committee for the past couple years. I think since Bill Belichick left, like, they've had, like, a committee, even with a guy leading it. But last year it was hell, like, owning Ramondre and all these other guys.
Yeah, I mean, Ramondre had a huge breakout year 2 years ago. I mean, we forget he was a top 10 running back or whatever it was come that year. Last year, Ramondre, I mean, it was ugly, and it turned into a committee because of how bad he was. So, I mean, you'd have to hope. I mean, yes, Ramondre looks good right now, but if I'm Robbie, you have to hope that eventually they lean on Travion Henderson because Ramondre proved last year. I don't think he's the guy. I don't think so. I think he's a good receiving back, but I don't think he's the guy in New England. Going off of that, though, I want to just circle back to Josh Allen real quick. Yes, they killed the Jets last week, but I do think this week against Miami's 0-2, you got to remember right now, and the Bills defense, you said earlier, they have a lot of injuries. If I'm predicting anything from this game, I think that Miami, they're going to play a tough game. They're going to score a lot of points this game because they have to. They're 0-2. They have it's a must-win week from them. I don't think they beat the Bills, but I think they're not going to go down without a fight. I think they're going to score a lot of points, and Josh Allen's going to have to keep scoring. I think if I'm Robbie, I'm feeling pretty confident Josh Allen has a pretty big week this week. Jonathan Taylor, I think he has a good week as always. But, I mean, from there, that's where, after that, question marks start to arise. Kelsey's going to be as consistent as anything. I think that him and Juwan Johnson, it's going to be pretty much a wash. Could go either way. If Kelsey catches that touchdown pass last week, Kelsey's putting up pretty good numbers for a tight end for the start of the year, but he didn't. But, I mean, either way, that's a wash. I mean, looking at the rest of it, you'd have to hope Justin Jefferson's going to have a better week than Tyreek, but we're yet to see the quarterback situation. So there's question marks there. Running back, too, it's a question mark. And then DJ Moore, that's a question mark. I'm much more confident with Pacua right now than DJ Moore if I'm him. But at the same time, I do think Pacua outscores Jordan Mason by a decent margin. Whether it's Jordan Mason or Chuba, Pacua's just looked very good so far, and I expect him to keep looking very good until Chris Godwin comes back, and then we see what the usage really turns into from there. So I think this matchup's going to be much closer than expected. Right now, you're projected to beat him. I probably do think you beat him, but also you're coming off a huge week. He's coming off a low week. So I could really just see this one going either way. I'm really not too sure.
And yeah, Ibuka plays the Jets at home in their new in their retro creamsicle looking jerseys. So he's gonna score like 3 touchdowns.
I'd expect a big week. I mean, Sauce Gardner, you'd have to hope if you're a Jets fan. I'm pretty sure he had a bad week last week against those Bills receivers. You'd have to, or really just all around, whether it was the receivers, just that whole game. I heard reports Sauce Gardner didn't look good, and I started watching the Jets game, but that got out of hand way too quick. There was no point in watching that whole game. So, I mean, You'd have to hope he has a bounce-back weekend. He's probably going to be shadowing Mike Evans the whole game. So if I'm Rob right now, I'm expecting Pacua to have a huge week. DJ Moore, I don't know. I guess it comes down to Caleb Williams and if he likes DJ Moore or Rome Odunze more. Right now it's been Odunze, but I do think DJ Moore is the better receiver there, and I don't know why he's not getting the ball as much as Odunze right now, but we don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Odunze just is the guy, but I haven't seen enough of him yet. Last year was not a good year, not a good rookie year for Odunze, in my opinion. And then going off of that, I just want to say with Rob's team too, I really like this team on paper coming out of the draft because I thought Pacheco was going to be the RB2 for his team until Henderson establishes himself. That being said, Pacheco's looked like a shell of himself. I mean, we've not seen him play good since pre-injury last year, so that's probably the biggest disappointment. He drafted him, and I mean, on paper, before they played, I think we all expected Pacheco to at least be a guy who's going to put up 12 points a week for you, and so far, I don't think he's even had like over 6 points. He's not had over 5 points yet, so Pacheco's done absolutely nothing so far. So that's a bit worrisome until hopefully Travion Henderson breaks out, but we don't know because we're yet to see it.
I could see a little J.K. Dobbins for George Pickens trade or something like that.
Something like that. I mean, that's a trade that I would definitely entice, but it's like at the same time, too, I don't think, with my team at least, I don't think Pickens is going to be that different from owning a Devonta Smith like I have now or a Chris Olave or whatever the case is. It just falls into that same category of players where I'm going to still be scratching my head on a week-to-week of who am I starting because they're all kind of mid-level wide receiver twos, and one of them is going to have the good matchups, so I'm just playing matchups. But I don't like that with having multiple guys with good matchups and really just losing on that end. But we'll see.
Definitely, yeah. And so that wraps up our matchups and kind of this last segment that we started last week to close out the episode was Mayo Watch. So it could be one, it could be two, it could be multiple teams. I have 2 teams on my Mayo Watch, but I wanted to ask you, what are some teams or what's one team that is most on Mayo Watch for you, who's most likely to make the Mayo Bowl? And, you know, as we're still in the beginning of the season, it's ridiculous, but it's funny to say which teams we think might be 9.
I mean, I think we both know where my head lies. It's the team that's starting Harold Fannin right now and Omarion Hampton in week 3. Like I said, Brian Thomas Jr., I'd be very concerned right now too. So that's definitely that team alone. I mean, you're starting those guys without any elite play at any other position aside from JSN so far, that's easily my team on Mayo Watch. Now, I can sit here and say, too, Aiden's 0-2, Rob's 0-2. I mean, those are the other two 0-2 teams, I believe. I could sit here and say that there should 100% be on Mayo Watch, too, because they're 0-2 as well. And I think his team scored more points than both of theirs. Oh, no, he's the lowest point scorer. Okay. Wait, no, actually, I take that back. I'm looking now. Aiden's the lowest point scorer. But that being said, I do think Aiden has more bright spots on his team with a star like CeeDee Lamb who's performed to expectations. And I think more so than anything, better days are ahead for Ashton Genty. And along with that, just to say too, Jaden Daniels is Jaden Daniels. He's going to be in for a big year. So he's got three things to lie back on. He's got an elite wide receiver one. He's got a guy who I think will eventually be an elite RB one. And he's got an elite quarterback. So he makes up for it. Then I just want to go back to Rob's team too. Jonathan Taylor looks elite. You'd have to expect better days are ahead for Justin Jefferson. So he has an elite RB one, wide receiver one, and Josh Allen's Josh Allen. So they have much more of a structure there. I'm looking at Alex's teams right now. I don't see anything elite thus far aside from JSN. That could change very quickly. It's only week 2, but I'd be starting to worry. I really would.
Interesting. Yeah. So would your top Mayo Watch teams or your Mayo matchup be Aiden Alex? Would that be correct to say?
Aiden, Alex, and Rob, just because all three of them are 0-2, but I think right now Alex has the most to worry about.
Interesting. And yeah, those were my Mayo Watch teams. It was Alex and Aiden. Alex, I'm not that worried about just because, like we've been saying, I think his wide receivers will pick it up. Omar and Hampton might be in fantasy asset moving forward. I don't believe in Najee Harris, and yeah, Aiden's team is just, it's not looking too good too early into the season, but I mean he can always turn it around. Mayo Watch is just for fun. We're not guaranteeing these teams are going to make it, but right now, you guys got to watch out. You guys are on Mayo.
Well, I mean, a lot's going to shake up through the year. It's only week 2. We've not seen any real major injuries yet, aside from Burrow, which, I mean, like I said, he went down on my team. I'm really not sweating it because at the end of the day, it is a quarterback, and it's not like I took him with the draft capital Josh Allen gets taken with, or like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. Yes, he was still taken fairly early, but when you take a quarterback in the early 3rd round like that, which I think most of them were drafted around there, that's where you really need the production. They need to be a top 3 guy by any means. If you're taking them any later, it's not going to kill your team for the year. You could still find production at that position. But, yeah, I mean, aside from that, I don't think there's been any major injuries. Can you note any? I don't think so, right?
No.
No, right? I guess just Rashee Rice going down. I mean, Jones went down this week, but nobody who's been within the first 3 rounds, to my knowledge, aside from that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Hopefully not, but it will happen. And yeah, just to close out the episode, we started this last week with Kevin. I asked him if he had any shit talk, any thing he wanted to talk smack about who he's playing, Robbie, last week, and he was pretty nice. He was pretty he didn't dig into him too much, but if there's anything that you want to say to Aiden right now about your matchup or kind of anything to stir the pot a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I could see me and Aiden's game going either way. I guess, I mean, I really shouldn't say this to talk smack because I'd rather he just keeps Quentin Johnson on the bench and plays Jamal Williams, plays Xavier Worthy, because one of them I think is going to have a terrible week between the two. They're both boom or bust guys, so just keep the lineup as is. I mean, that's really all I got to say with that because I think one of them will bust, but probably shouldn't say that. But, that's really all I got to say. Aside from that, I think his team will bounce back. I think better days are ahead for that team.
And is there anything else you want to say to the league or any specific owner or anything that you want to be a topic of discussion for going into this week?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to just touch one more time again on that DeAndre Hopkins has only played 30% of snaps for the Baltimore Ravens. He's wide receiver 3 on their depth chart behind Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, yet Ants felt the need to use a waiver claim on him. I just find that very mind-boggling. And Josh Downs has not been very good thus far, but I would feel much more confident in a guy like Josh Downs, or whatever the case may be, than a 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins at this point in his career who's not even getting snaps on the field. He caught a touchdown both weeks. But again, going back to anyone who gets a lot of touchdowns, especially at the receiver position, you cannot rely on that on a week-to-week. That's pretty much luck of the draw, who's catching the touchdown, unless you have an elite top 5 guy. Then I'm going to factor that more in when Jamar Chase scores a touchdown, or Justin Jefferson, or CeeDee Lamb. That's more factored into their game. Those other guys who are wide receiver 2s, 3s on their team, it's luck of the draw how often they catch a touchdown. So I thought that was a crazy move. He would have been there this morning when he woke up if he wants to add him as a free agency claim rather than a waiver claim. I can't comprehend adding DeAndre Hopkins in the big 2025. Nor can I comprehend playing Harold Fannin so far, but you know.
And just a quick update on the Harold Fannin. I said, "Yo, Alex, what's up with the Harold Fannin pickup?" And he responds with tight end 1 on the Browns. I mean, like we said before, if you have to argue who the tight end 1 on a team is, I don't think it's worth having them as your fantasy tight end. But
That's a problem in and of itself with any of these teams that are true committees and everything right now. There's plenty of teams right now that are rotating running backs or whatever the case may be. There's fake committees and there's real committees with every position group, with every team. Nobody wants to truly be in a committee. I mean, the only one right now the only one right now is Detroit, where I could see playing David Montgomery as an RB2. I mean, unfortunately, Ant has both running backs, but I do think that is a smart play because David Montgomery does produce over 10 most weeks out of the year, at least 10 to 15. So even if he had to rely back on starting both of them, he still will have plenty of production. That's the only committee that we've seen that's really produced 2 great guys like that in recent memory. So, I mean, I don't even know. A tight end committee is just wild work. That's all I got to touch on with that.
Harold Fannin for the win.
You got any key things that you want to touch on with anyone's team?
I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff that we haven't brought up. I can't think off the top of my head really, but yeah, I know a lot of people were clowning Ant for having both Detroit running backs, but I think that's a really smart play. Let's say everyone else on his team goes down. Montgomery is like a fine flex play to have. He's not like the greatest, but like if you have to start both, I don't think it's a big deal. And also, if one goes down, I mean, that's the best like handcuff to have in the league. Even though
you're locking it. I looked at the numbers last year when Ant took them both, and he was getting clowned on for. But I think it came out to like they averaged through like the first 8 weeks before Montgomery got hurt and they were playing. It was a combined like 35 points a week, which I mean. It can be clowned on, but if he was starting them both 35 points a week from both your running backs, there's at least 5 teams in our league right now who I don't think they've touched 35 points combined from both their running backs through the first 2 weeks, which
it's true.
It would be a better situation than probably at least 3 or 4 of our teams right now if he was starting them both, which is crazy that people are clowning on that.
Yeah. And yeah, my last thing would just be good luck with Harold Fannin, Alex.
Good luck.
Good luck with
tight end 1. Tight end to 1. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Nick, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the 3rd guest of the Hock Pacua Podcast. This closes out episode 3. And best of luck this week and best of luck of the season moving forward.
Same back to you. Thank you for having me tonight. Okay.
David and Joker on the bitch. David and Joker on the bitch. David and Joker on the bitch. David and what? Yeah. I go to David and Joker on the bitch, yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna that little stitch, yeah. That could possible bitch, like what's the sitch, yeah.